I wanted to go through today talking about a creative block. You're gonna hit some sort of creative block at some point. This is where people get motivation and discipline a little bit confused. Motivation is just not gonna be there for you when you want it to be. Motivation and inspiration are, I think, slippery slopes for creatives to kind of hang their hat on, and I guess it's dangerous as a creative person to rely on either motivation or inspiration as your muse. Being able to progress through a creative block takes a lot of discipline. That's hard. That's a hard muscle to work and hone and develop, because discipline is something that you do whether you're feeling like doing it or not feeling like doing it, whether you have the motivation or you don't, whether you're inspired or you're not. It's like work for a lot of people. People work not necessarily because they want to, but because they have to. They have bills to pay, they have mortgages, they have car payments, they have kids' schools. Like, it's life, and you have to do that, and you need the money. Therefore, you keep showing up to work whether you want to or not. I think for a lot of creatives, most of us start out creating on the side. So you have a 9 to 5, you have some other source of income that's your main source of income that pays the bills, and then you have your creative outlet, whether it's photography, videography, you name it. And it starts maybe as a hobby or an interest, and that develops into a hobby, and then that hobby develops into a side hustle, and that side hustle can develop into a full-time career. It's tricky when you convert that into more of a job, because that's the piece where you have to convert that motivation and that inspiration over into discipline. And it's fucking hard. You know, there's days where I think every creative person just doesn't want to show up. And instead, I think in those moments as a creative, as an artist, one of the best things that you can do for yourself is lean into it whether you want to or not. I kind of akin this to fitness. If you only go to the gym when you absolutely want to, or you feel like going to the gym, you're probably not going to have a very consistent schedule, because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to want to go to the gym. However, if you can develop a routine where you're going to the gym consistently, maybe it's 3 days a week, over time, that discipline of showing up, something changes, right? Like, you're able to show up and you're checking the box and you can say you worked out that day. And then a few weeks go by and you increase the intensity. So maybe it was 2 days a week, now it's 3 days a week. Maybe you're working out for 30 minutes and now it's an hour or 45 minutes. And I think we have to look at our creative pursuits a lot like that. So many people want to get big on YouTube, or they want to get big on TikTok or Instagram, or they want to have a full-time career selling their art. It just takes time and discipline and showing up consistently to do that. And it's going to take jumping over a lot of creative hurdles and a lot of creative blocks to kind of break that ice and get past the phase of those leaves falling are really beautiful. Rich Roll has a really amazing quote, "Mood follows action." I really love that. I love that simply because it makes a lot of sense. It ties into the discipline versus motivation or inspiration. So if you're not feeling inspired or you're not feeling motivated, taking action will actually kind of generate that motivation or generate that inspiration. Like, I mentioned the workout example. There's a lot of times I just genuinely don't want to work out. If I left it up to my emotions and my mood, I probably would not do it. But I know that I want to be someone who consistently works out because I want to be healthy. I love creating art. It's good for my mental health. I want to show up for that. I think it's very important as part of just my self-expression and just my personal journey. And I will say there's days that I just don't want to do it. Or there's days where I feel like I'm not good enough, or I feel like I don't even know what to create. And it's in those moments that I've found that pushing through and creating some type of action will lead me to such a better place and just such a better, not only headspace, but, oh God, there's a spider crawling right across the lens. Nope. Here, buddy. Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, mood follows action. And so if you just take action, whether you feel inspired, whether you are dealing with a creative block, if you get into the studio and just start to paint something, it doesn't matter what it is, just start mixing paints, just something to kind of get you in the studio and start painting, you're going to be better for it. I think as creatives, we tend to be hypercritical of ourselves and our work and our progress. And sometimes I think we forget like everything that led to where we're at, whether you're at the hobby stage, passive income stage, or full-time professional artist. You're going to have creative blocks. You're going to have imposter syndrome. You're going to have periods where you don't feel good enough. This is not something that no creatives are just totally immune to. Everybody deals with it. But I think if you look at it from the perspective of getting back on the horse and showing back up, that's what's important. If you were to basically quantify on a piece of paper your life, your stop and starts for certain things. The stopping isn't necessarily the dangerous part, like the creative block or just quitting painting or whatever it may be. It's the starting again. As long as there's that starting again, you're good to go. So you have to be really gentle with yourself and kind with yourself and not get so upset if you deal with creative blocks. There's a great quote. I'm going to butcher it. It's something along the lines of like, okay, so it was actually a Da Vinci quote. Surprise, surprise, I love him. He says, "Art is never finished, only abandoned." And I think that's so beautiful. And at times we do abandon our art. At times we do abandon creative process and things that like fill our cup. And that can be as a result of, again, a creative block or just lack of discipline. And so I think regardless where you're at in your career and whether or not you deal with creative blocks on a regular or an inconsistent basis, I think for anybody out there that needs to hear this today, like, you are doing a great job. You just have to keep going. I think every single human being, we're born and designed to be creative. We just, for whatever reason, stop. And I just would encourage you to be very gentle with yourself and to just keep showing up. Because again, it's not about how often you're stopping the thing you're doing, but it's how often you show back up the next day or week or month and consistently keep doing that enough times. And if you string enough of those consistencies together, you're going to have a year's worth of productivity or a decade or whatever it may be, a lifetime. And I think that's really beautiful. It's not linear. There's never going to be this linear progression as humans, like in our personal lives, in our businesses, in our creative businesses. It's just not going to be that way. And I think we get stuck in the instant gratification in today's world that we should have that. And we should be able to just like, I don't know, fart out like all these amazing finished pieces and put them all over Instagram. And that's just not realistic. There's so many artists out there that are building amazing followings by just documenting their process and not even like showing a finished work. It's like, I feel like this is just a rant. I don't know that this is like, I'm going to put this out there, but for those that did need to hear this today, just keep showing up, keep sharpening the axe of discipline, because it's going to continue to serve you over and over and over and over and over again. And the days that you don't feel like doing something, it's going to be your discipline and that muscle that you've built over time that's going to carry you through those really rough patches where you just want to throw your hands up and you don't want to do it anymore. It's the discipline that will get you through that. And so allow the emotions to just come and go like waves in the ocean, in and out and in and out. And you're going to have high tides, you're going to have low tides. Having the structure of discipline in your life as a creative is so incredibly important because it pushes you through these creative blocks. I hope that was helpful. I don't know really what else to say.